Hello there everyone. Now, this should be the second video released today. I had so much fun with the first one, I thought I'd do another. Now this topic and video has been done to death, but not by me, so fuck it, I want my slice of this cake. This is about the virtuous pedophile, and we are going to go over some of these points and defences.
I am a pedophile. I'm not a monster. I have the traction, but I don't act on it.
Which is very respectable. I can't imagine how hard it must be to have such an attraction. And knowing how men act with sex, it must be strong desire. But if you truly haven't acted on it, then I do genuinely congratulate you.
I never will. I do not look at child porn. I never will. I obey.
Well, you're a fucking liar. Now, I'm not saying child porn is good in any way, it's fucking disgusting. But then again, I'm not a monster. I meant pedo, sorry. But if you expect me to believe you have never once jerked off to the image of children, then I'm calling you out as bullshit. People used to jerk off to pictures of clothed women back in the days when porn was taboo. And thousands of years ago, people would masturbate to sculptures of women made from wood or stone. So if you are honestly trying to say you haven't jerked off to the picture of some kids at the beach or some shit like that, then I will say now, till the end of time, that you are a fucking liar. And now that I think about it, you're a fucking monster, whether or not you've acted on it or not.
And agree with it. I am part of one of the most hated groups of society. No question about it. We are the scapegoats du jour. If you look at history, there's always one minority that seems to be the one that everybody kind of persecutes, and I think we're it.
Well then, you're pretty fucking ignorant of ancient history, aren't you? The ancient Greeks, especially in Crete, practiced pedophilia, and it was normal for them. An elderly man would choose a young boy who was prepubescent and would guide him up the echelons of society and would be somewhat of a lover in return. Now, this was frowned upon by Greek states such as Athens and Oedipus, but I know Crete allowed such behaviour. However, in Greek portraits, the older man would usually stick his penis between the boy's thighs and fuck that. But we all know men don't like to wait outside when the party's indoors. Fuck. Just a joke about that, knowing the context I'm using that in was fucking horrible. Right, moving on before I get fucking lynched by someone, again. Also, the Romans were pretty okay with paedophilia, as slaves that were once free men outside of the Roman Empire had no legal rights in Rome, and it was common for prepubescent boys to be highly sought after by rich and elite households as sex slaves, at least until they grew their first beard, in which time they were treated as a man. So no, paedophilia has not always been seen as a bad thing. However, back then, if you lived past 30, you were quite fucking lucky, and that was in the civilized and clean parts of the world. In parts such as Gaul or Britain, I would say about 3/4 of those that would live to 30 in Roman cities would make it to 30 in these regions, which means back then they tended to, let's say, appreciate the youth more, and especially young girls, as the younger they bred, the higher chances they had of creating children that would not only survive, but grow up to be adults. Just like how in modern Africa, people fuck like rabbits despite the shortage of food and the abundance of dangers, because they need more offspring in hopes some of them will actually hit adulthood.
Campaigning for better treatment of people like me. We're non-offending pedophiles. Not all pedophiles.
Yes, and before my little tirade of the ancient world, I congratulated you and others like you on not offending. But you don't need acceptance, you need fucking help.
Pedophiles come from all walks of life. We come from all sorts of economic backgrounds, different occupations, and
Yes, and that is fucking terrifying. Do you understand that normal adults see and love children in a protective way? And they don't want to see them fucking hurt. They want to see them flourish without the children being exposed to the evils of this world. And they would kill to keep people like you away from them.
What age groups are you attracted to?
I would say it probably starts about 3, 4 years old, and then goes up into early 20s, late teens, early 20s, and it kind of peaks at about like 9, 10 years old.
Go and get yourself a normal girlfriend then. Dress properly, ditch the pedo look you actually have going, which is just fucking so appropriate, and focus on getting a normal life, you sick, sick fuck. 3 to 9 years old. Jesus fucking Christ, that's horrifying.
I'm a political activist for Virtuous Pedophiles, which is a forum that I belong to. I'm out, talking to the media and things, and basically making the case for Verped. The forum is devoted to helping pedophiles who do not want to offend. There are approximately a few thousand members.
Yet again, that's fucking horrifying.
My goals are to educate the public and also to bring people who are struggling with this attraction to our forum so that we can help them, provide a circle of support for them.
I think you should start by educating yourself on history. Not to reinforce you so you go, see, it was okay back then. But so you can see how it was and why it was necessary that it was changed. It was okay back then, but so was slavery, rape, genocide, racism, and pretty much everything the civilized world has worked to abolish. And we abolished pedophilia because just like the rest I've just listed, it was fucking horrible.
What was your reaction when you first decided to show your face on the internet, so to speak?
What was the reaction from the public, or?
Yeah.
Well, I got a pretty public backlash.
Yes, no shit. People are protective about their children. And the fact that the cameraman hasn't rammed the lens into your head repeatedly till the crew wrestle him off of your lifeless corpse shows a remarkable amount of restraint from him, and fucking my hat goes off to him.
I went out with a girl when I was 20 years old, so she was 26. She was very petite, so she was my type physically, or I thought, at the time. At this time, I still wasn't really that attracted to adults, but I thought, well, maybe I can make this work, We dated for about 3 weeks. I kept putting sex off. Finally, I gave in. We tried it. It just didn't work. I went on a couple of dates after that with a couple of girls, but it never really got past that first date stage, and my heart wasn't in it. For all intents and purposes, I am a virgin. I've never had full-blown sexual intercourse.
Right. I'm going to be calm and say this genuinely. Become a eunuch. Go get castrated. And I know that sounds horrible, but you aren't fucking anything anyway, and you tell us you don't want to offend, so do the world a favour, do yourself a favour, and rob yourself of the motivation to harm a child.
It hasn't happened.
You had suffered abuse
Yeah.
as a child. Can you tell us about that?
I came over to visit my grandmother. There was a guy that they didn't really know him that well. He was an acquaintance. And she asked me if I would take him outside to show my grandpa's garden. He went out to the side of the garden and sat down on the ground and patted the ground, indicating he wanted me to sit by him. And so I did, and then he just basically touched me. So it was a one-time event. I wouldn't say that it was the only thing that led to my sexuality. I would say there was probably a lot of other things that led me in that direction.
So you fucking know it damages kids, you fucking idiot. Seriously, go get fucking castrated. You told us you hate these feelings, and you even prayed to get them taken away, and yet you are an activist for paedophilia, despite clearly knowing it harms kids and could put more of them in your shoes and hate themselves just like you do.
Pedophiles. I have a pretty healthy imagination. I think it helps me to process my sexuality in healthy ways that don't involve any real children.
Yeah, I bet you do, you perverted fucker. And by saying it helps your sexuality without any real children, tells me you happily sit there and imagine small girls whilst you tend to the piping, you sick fucker. which also tells me you do have urges to act on and you're bullshitting us. But then again, we all probably knew that anyway. Fuck's sake. Anyway, that concludes this video. I was inspired by Suit Yourself and Undoom's video on omnipolitics, and I felt like tackling the subject myself, but with an older example and a lot less insults and death threats than those two, and a few more points. But doesn't mean the video isn't good. It made me laugh my ass off. Mad Undoomed is the best. If you guys could please leave a like and share, that would be wonderful and very much appreciated. Please subscribe, and I will catch you fuckers later.